Matthew Stuggy here from Verity Baptist Church, Philippines. Just giving you a quick missionary update for the month of January of 2023. And I know this update is pretty late. I'll do my best next time to get it on time. Just things have been pretty busy. But overall in January, we had a total of 859 salvations. So it's a nice solid start to the year. January, we don't really have any soul winning marathons. It's pretty much a pretty calm month. At least for events. Our big thing in January is the New Testament Bible Reading Challenge, where we challenge our church members and our church family. We give them basically a sheet that they can mark off every day to just finish the entire New Testament in January. And it's a great motivation. You get started in the new year, and traditionally over half our church has been able to finish it. And so that's kind of the main thing in January. But we did have 859 salvations. Outside of our soul winning and outside of our salvations, we also had the opportunity to preach in the schools, and we got to preach the gospel to hundreds and hundreds of students. And we're looking at more opportunities. They were on break recently, but we're looking to get into more opportunities here in February to preach at the schools. And so if you can pray about that, it's obviously a great opportunity. And anyways, in terms of the sermon of the month, it's from the Alphabet of Bible Doctrines. The sermon I selected was Family Integrated, for the letter F. And it's probably not the sermon that's going to get necessarily the most amens, but it's kind of an edifying sermon. It's a good reminder. I've really enjoyed the Alphabet of Bible Doctrine series. There's pretty much an endless amount of opportunities for every letter, but doctrine does matter. It's important to know what we believe and why we believe it. And I'll just give you one quick story before I wrap up this recap from the month of January. Recently, I don't know, I can't even remember having a time period where I've been so sick, and me and my family during the last several months. My voice, I don't know if you can hear on the preaching, has been kind of messed up for a lot of the sermons. And in January, and I think I'm pretty much recovered from it now, and I'm good to go. But in January, I went soul winning in Pampanga, in the poorest area I've ever been to in my life. And there's this group of people that I was not familiar with, I guess called the Bajau. I guess they're kind of located in various parts of Asia, and so not necessarily Filipino natives, and so they don't always necessarily speak Tagalog. They will have their own language, but it was basically in an area where there's not really meant to be a house, but they basically just kind of put up a tent, and very poor area, very unsanitary, a million flies and everything like that, and I got pretty sick, I think, as a result from soul winning in that area. And what was interesting, though, is that it's a poor area, and you might think that they would be receptive to the gospel, but in reality, they were not receptive at all to the gospel. And what I've seen through soul winning, and other people have the same experience, is that poor areas are very receptive to the gospel. But if you look at extremely poor areas, or areas where, I guess, people are not working, but are basically beggars, they tend not to be receptive to the gospel at all, whereas the average, person who's poor, who's just kind of working hard to provide for their family and is just kind of struggling, they are very receptive. And we went up to this group of people, and then the first person that, we talked to, the second person I should say, I sat down and I was going through the basic things, and I asked them if they had ever sinned before, in Tagalog, and, they said no. And we're just looking at each other like, and I was wondering, maybe they didn't speak, Tagalog, because every once in a while here in Pampanga you can find, I didn't realize they were Bajau at first, you could find people that speak Kapampangan, but their English and Tagalog could be limited. Some of the older generation or more isolated areas. That's what I thought, but then we realized after a few minutes they did in fact understand Tagalog, they understood what we were saying, they were just saying they were not sinners. And then we started the gospel in 3 different groups, and completely unreceptive. And my friend Brother Raji gave the gospel to this one lady, but she did not get saved. And it was just a very, very unreceptive area. So just kind of a reminder that, hey, the poor areas are very receptive to the gospel, but people that are trying to live off the government and not actually trying to provide for themselves, they tend to be pretty unreceptive to the gospel. But overall, it's a good start to the month, 859 salvations. February also, I don't think we have any major soul winning events, but we will be coming up to that later on during the year, especially as we hit the Easter week and the soul winning mega marathon that's going to be coming up in the month of April. Anyways, thank you and God bless.